Everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
afternoon.
Welcome to the August 4th meeting of Davidson County, the best county in the state Board of Health. Hope everybody had a good month and they somewhat cool. We had some warm days and I like hot days though, so I know I'm probably the opposite of most people. But thank you. And so we'll go ahead and actually just skip on to item 2. Or did you?
Let's skip to item 2 and then we'll come back to item 1.
Okay. There's a piece of a piece of business with there, but we can come back to that. So item number 2, you've all had the agenda now. It was emailed out. There is a suggestion to amend the agenda a bit to have a closed session, and specifically, it's a employer attorney-client privilege that we would talk about that needs to be done in closed session. So before going further with the rest of the agenda, I'd like to put that on the table and see if there's a motion to amend the agenda to include item number 9, which will now be the closed session.
Motion to amend.
Second. And second. Okay. In favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that amendment to the agenda is approved. All right, we'll move on. And was there any public comment or anybody registered for public comment?
Linda nor I have received anybody for public comment.
I have a question. When does your term expire? When does this term expire?
Well, I think
3 years.
2 more years.
No, it's up for.
He's up for today.
Yes.
Yes, and we were gonna.
His term is not up.
No, I don't think so.
I have to
Okay,
think.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that we didn't need to get in
Before, yeah.
So,
And I honestly, before we get into the meat, even if Calvin's not here, if we'll just go ahead and do that and we can bump Calvin to the next meeting for the.
he's not until October, I think.
Right, so we've got a little bit.
Are you sure?
Do you want to go ahead and do yours? Let's see. Calvin didn't say how long it would be. Maybe if you talk slow, Debbie.
See him in the parking lot.
Oh, you see him in the parking lot? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Anyway.
No,
Okay.
we'll go with yours, I think.
You want to sit or stand? Okay. Left hand on the Bible and raise your right. I state your name.
I, Terry Ellington,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and law
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully
the
discharge
duties of my office
the duties of my office
as Board of Health member.
as Board of Health member.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I state your name.
I, Terry Ellington,
Do swear
do swear
that I will well and truly
that I will well and truly
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office of Board of Health member
of the office of Board of Health member
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to law.
according to law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Yes, the whole phone. Might have to.
Get your breath for a second.
You want to stand?
What?
Sit. Thank you.
Put your left hand on the Bible and raise the right. You ready?
Yeah.
You sure? I state your name.
I, Calvin Odom,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and
of
laws
the United States
of the United States,
and the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of
of
North Carolina,
North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as Board of Health member.
as Board of Health member.
So help me God.
So,
I state your name.
I, Calvin Odom,
Do swear
do swear
that I will well and truly
that I will well and truly
execute the duties
execute the duties of
of the office of Board of Health member
the office of Board of Health member
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to the best of my skill and ability,
according to law.
according to law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. I'm much anytime.
Right, and as we said, Mr. Nyfong is not with us today, so we will bump that to another meeting.
Real quick for the vice chair, we amended the agenda. We had a form, so we amended the agenda to include a closed session. We got that real quick. All right, and there was no public comment, or no one registered for public comment, so we'll move on to the acceptance of the consent agenda. Was there any discussion over what we were given out prior to the meeting? Any motions to accept the consent agenda?
Motion to accept.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, well, that is accepted as well. All right, Mr. Commissioner, do you have anything?
Nothing to report.
Well, thank you for your service on that side of the parking lot, and
Well,
thanks for being here, of course, as always. All right, moving on to item number 6. That will be our health director's report, and we know who that is. We love her.
Thank you, Dr. Ellington. Y'all, we're at the end of the summer, which is a relief for a few of our divisions, particularly our environmental health team, who has been very busy with swimming pools. And Randy, I think, can tell you how warm it's been outside for his team as they're augering holes in the woods and doing sorts of things out like that. So we are glad to see fall is soon coming. To let y'all know, we are in a constant state of posting positions and hiring, it feels like right now. Corinne and I have been very busy doing business office work, and we're thrilled to be extending offers to folks. We are in a process, the fingerprinting law takes it a little bit longer, so we can't say names for things until we get everything cleared. But we just got a report back that our office support position in WIC has been cleared, so we're excited to have that staff member coming on board. We, y'all may remember, got a new position for a Stoner Thomas nurse. That position was actually filled internally. So this becomes one of those games where, like whack-a-mole, you fill one job and you open another one. So we have an internal job open right now for the position that was vacated. But I will tell y'all, Stoner Thomas is thrilled to have an experienced school nurse going into that assigned role. And the nurse that is going is very excited. And I can tell you that the school she is leaving are not very happy. They really, really liked her, and they're going to be sad to see her go, but Stoner Thomas will really enjoy that new nurse there. And so we'll fill that position that she vacated, and it's likely going to be an internal candidate too. So we'll have another open position that we will post to fill. So it is just with that, and with all the workday things, it really does take some time to do. And new hires, even if they're already employed with us, if you get a new position in the Davidson County Health Department, you now have to do the fingerprinting. So that is an interesting part of it too. When they were originally hired, because the law took effect after they were hired, these folks are now getting fingerprinted. Now, 5 years from now, I'm not sure what the cadence on that is. And so we might have fingerprinted everybody, and then internal candidates wouldn't have to go get a new fingerprint. I'm not really sure what that rule will look like. We are recruiting for WIC nutritionists still, and we are holding on our business office billing supervisor because there was a teeny tiny snafu in the budget that the commissioners approved. The money's right, the position grade is right, but the position title was incorrect in the finalized budget. That was my fault. I should have read it and seen it, but I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, that's one of our positions, totally fine. And it was the old position name that they had in there instead of the new position name. So that'll be on the next commissioners meeting, and then we will be able to post that position. Just a tiny little.
That seriously holds up hiring somebody?
Yes, sir. That's what we were told. Adam, do you know the reason for that? But it was part of the approved.
Yeah, that sounds like an HR thing to me.
Yeah. That's probably more what it was. So we're going to get that done and posted quickly. We are very busy with communicable diseases. We have been monitoring a couple of Ebola travelers, but that has fallen off the radar. Thank goodness. They were low risk and they did not develop Ebola, but they had been in the country. And so we were connected with those folks. The cyclospora, which if you've turned on your phone or watched the news, I don't have to tell you how they advertise it there, but it's a very unpleasant little parasite to get a hold of. And we've had a few folks here that have had it. our first real connection point with that was actually not lab confirmed, meaning there wasn't a stool sample that had it, but we spoke with a lady who had been to a baby shower in another county, and everybody from the baby shower had been sick with the upset stomach for about 3 weeks, and they ate the foods that were on the list. And so we were like, oh yeah, you probably have it, but we don't count that one because it wasn't lab confirmed. But we have since had lab confirmed cases, but we're not, we don't have any idea on where they picked it up, but we do know that we have cases in Davidson County. Rabies continues to be just, tis the season for people to be outside and animals to be out there. One of the more interesting ones that we dealt with recently was a fox that a person was, Randy, pause me if I mess up here. They were checking out of a hotel, they had their bags, they were going to their car, and here comes a fox and attacks them. And then a short while later, very close to the hotel, somebody was sitting on their back porch and minding their own business, and a fox attacked them. And so that the next day in the same area, a fox was seen acting crazy and ended up getting run over. And so because of the proximity, we tested that fox. It was positive for rabies, and both the people got rabies post-exposure. And it was just, one of those things, like an interesting thing. The other one that's been really interesting that we dealt with was your office went and raided a home, and inside the home there was a cute little raccoon in a cage. And the people that y'all engaged with there ended up becoming residents at the jail.
Right.
And so our team, yeah, they were there for a reason, and they now live in the jail. And our team went to the jail and was like, there was a raccoon at the house. Did anybody get exposed to it? And the stories that we heard on this one was it was a little sick raccoon. It had green gooky eyes. They took it to a creek and washed the green gooky eyes, and then all the things. So then by the time the wildlife officers go back, because they had this like 6-page document of how they were going to go get the raccoon was gone. So we couldn't test it. So our staff recommended post-exposure for these individuals. Two of your residents.
Right.
One of them said, I didn't touch the raccoon. I'm not exposed. I don't need it. And then the other person was like, I did. And so that person is getting post-exposure. These are the things that Randy and Mary Lou oversee on a daily basis with their teams. And so it is always something interesting. So we are continuing to try to get the word out. And I will ask you as board members, the next time you're having a meal with friends or doing something with a group of people, just remind folks, if you are attacked, bitten, scratched, something by an animal of unknown origin, you really need to report that, because rabies is bad. You will die. We also recently had a county staff member who sent me an email. It's like, hey, we're at the hospital. Turns out I've taken 4 bats that we found in our house outside and let them live. And somebody told us that could be a rabies problem. So it's like, yes, it could. They didn't know that. And they had, over the course of 7 to 10 days, the bats are in their attic and they're trying to get rid of them and all the things. But over the course of 7 to 10 days, every time they find one, they just grab it and take it outside. And somebody finally told them that they might need to do something about that. So the husband and wife went to the hospital and they were getting the post-exposure. So again, reiterate to my board members, please, when you talk with friends, family, coworkers, remind them rabies is 99.9% fatal, and bats carry it, and unknown animals that bite or scratch you could potentially be an exposure for rabies. We really want to make sure we're staying on top of that.
And a lot of these animals are nocturnal.
Mhm.
So when you see them in the middle of the day, they're probably crazy.
Exactly.
And there's a good chance. So that's another, just kind of common thing. You don't raccoons are not sun-loving people.
Spring cleaning and office offer up day. This has been something we've sort of joked about at the office, but if y'all have seen the commercials about offer up, like you have a jacket you don't want anymore, we'll offer it up. So we've decided here at the Davidson County Health Department, people have things in their office that maybe they don't want anymore, like something like this. If somebody's like, I don't need this anymore, we're doing like an office day where people are gonna bring Davidson County purchased items to the health bedroom. We're gonna sit them out. But that would, these cup holders, anything like that, mouse pads, stuff like that, so we can try to just sort of redistribute items to save money for the county. Anything that isn't picked up at the end of the day, Corinne and I have decided that we will go through and say, this is something we need to keep here in the health department, or we will offer it up to other departments to see if they need it. But it's just kind of a way to sort of, instead of people throwing things away at their desk that they don't want anymore, or just sitting there and looking at it, trying to get it out to other folks. So we're looking forward to doing that. And that, it took a while to get a date down, but we're doing it in August. So spring cleaning is turned into summer offer up time, but we're gonna get it done. So this week, our Lexington City Schools nurses started back. Lexington City Schools goes back a little bit before Davidson County and Thomasville, so we're excited to have them back in the building. The other nurses will be coming back in the next couple of weeks. We are doing a regional project for billing support, which is very much appreciated. The way that the prepaid health plans have changed the way that we bill for services, it's just been very difficult and challenging. So Region 3 that we are a part of in Davidson County has joined up together to hire a consultant that will help all of us. And so we will all get one-on-one time. She'll come in the office, she'll look at how we've been billing to try to improve the refunded items that that we are entitled to for the services that we provide. Care management program. Last week, we were notified that the care management program will be ending in the way that it is delivered here at the health department. So on Friday, Mary Lou and I and Crystal Swink, who y'all have seen several times in our meeting, who is the supervisor over that program, met with the staff and let them know that as of December 31st, the program will no longer be offered through the local public health department. The services will continue, just in a different way. So the people that are employed by us will lose their job on December 31st. That is 9 employees. The last I checked, they're all hoping to stay until December 31st, and they will figure it out from there. We in Davidson County have a reduction in force policy. I've already engaged with HR and the county management team to let them know that this has happened. Everybody that was hired knew that this program had some uncertainty, so this was not a surprise to anybody. So we will be helping these folks as much as we can navigate what happens for them January 1st ongoing. Because the program will still continue, there may be an opportunity, and I have advocated across the state that our liaison engage with the prepaid health plans, because they will now be the provider of the service instead of local public health departments. So I have requested, if they are seeking employees for this, that we can get engaged with them to try to connect the employees that will be leaving us to those roles that they'll be having there. I can't say what the compensation would look like or anything like that, but it would potentially be an opportunity for them to continue doing the work in just a different way. So it's a bummer. They're great staff members that we'll be losing. They are 2 nurses, 6 social workers, and an office support staff member. 2 other social workers recently transitioned into other positions at the health department because we were very uncertain about the future, and so they saw the writing on the wall. And if we have other positions open in the health department, it's likely that those folks would be interested in applying, and we will just help them in the best way that we can. As your public health director, I want to tell you how upsetting this is, in the fact that they were part of our public health emergency response team, and that's 12 people down. During COVID, that team was instrumental in allowing us to provide COVID vaccines. Without them, we would not have been able to do the work that we did. So we in North Carolina are losing a considerable amount of public health first responders. And we're all going to hope that we don't have a public health emergency. But if we do, we're 12 down here in Davidson, right there, 12 more bodies to respond. Other counties have less, others have more. And so it's just the public health workforce is being diminished with this. Yes, sir.
So is this all the care management teams across all the counties in North Carolina?
Yes, sir.
Across the board, December 2026.
The way to give I'll try to speak shortly on this. when Medicaid transformation happened, all of the prepaid health plans that raised their hand and got the plans and were awarded the work from North Carolina, they were told, you take your patients on and you provide all of their health care, save a few things. There was a dental carve out originally. There was an IDD for like folks that had a little bit higher needs. They were carved out originally, and this program was carved out. So the prepaid health plans were told, out of all the money you get, you're going to have to continue to contract with the health departments to do this service for a period of time. That date got pushed back. It got pushed back, got pushed back, and we have finally gotten to the end of the road. And that is what we're looking at. Of the 4 prepaid health plans, one of them, Carolina Complete, they were all about wanting to stay in the health departments. They were like, y'all do a great job with this work. This program is the team that engages with high-risk pregnant women and high-risk children to try to keep them out of the emergency department and prevent Medicaid expenses. So that's the whole purpose of the program. Carolina Complete was like, y'all do it great. We don't want to change this program. If it falls apart, our costs are going to go through the roof. Healthy Blue was the first one that said we're taking it in-house, and Healthy Blue is the largest provider. And when they left, we were like, and then we anticipated the other 2 were going to fall off, and we had to make a date collectively in North Carolina as public health departments of July 31st for decision making about the platform that we were using to track the referrals and put the data into. And we had to sign a contract by July 31st, which would have put us in a 2-year contract at about $400,000, which would have been spread across all the local public health departments. But we didn't think it was a responsible thing to do because Healthy Blue said, we're not going to be providing you patients. So they're going to provide it in-house. So we're hopeful that maybe they want to hire some social workers.
So will these employees have first shot at any open position in Davidson County?
That they are eligible for and want. Yes. So the employees that remain on this list, the longest tenured employee is one of the nurses. And so we have positions here at the health department that if she was interested in, she could definitely apply for. Everybody else, the most tenured employee is a 4-year employee. And so y'all may or may not know, in Davidson County, if you work here 5 years, you're vested. And so we're really hopeful, and everything here, not everything, but in the RIF program, it really leans heavy on your tenure. So the person that's been the longest sort of gets the first or the most weight on their interview with things like that. So, and as I told them, they're social workers. DSS is always hiring, but DSS is a very different job. And I think that many of them are not in DSS because that's not the type of work that they want to do. And so I'm not sure that they're going to be chomping at the bit for those roles. So we will see. We are very saddened for them. They have loved their jobs. And like I said, the ones that are here, like we're hanging on until the end of the year. And I just thought, what a bad time not to have a job at the start of a year. But we are going to help them as best we can. We've talked about, if they need time off for interviews or things like that, we'll work around it to be as helpful as possible. And Crystal is a fantastic supervisor who has given a great deal of support to them. Not the news we wanted. It was definitely not the best meeting we had on Friday, but everybody, when it was over, they were also appreciative of the transparency that we've done here, and we've sort of been in lockstep with them. So they were not surprised by this news, but it was definitely disappointing. Program reports. Jana had this extremely energetic, exciting young lady who was an intern from Appalachian State. She's going to be getting her public health master's, and she sort of helped around the department in a lot of different ways. And she's gone back to school, so she's no longer doing workforce, but that was an unpaid internship that we had here, and really enjoyed meeting her and the work that she did for us. Also, we're saying goodbye soon to Janie Ainge. She's going to be closing out her contracted work in the business office. She came on board when Corinne was out on maternity leave to help us with the budget. And then we lost a position, so she just sort of stayed on, and we've been able to use one-time workforce development funding to cover the cost of that contract. And so we've been really appreciative of her work. Randy says they're about like American Gladiator downstairs fighting over applications because we're doing so good with our backlog. We're not quite like that fighting over them, but they have done a really, really good job. And that is due almost all in part to Randy's leadership. He has been really, really diligent about assigning work appropriately, helping out where he can. He has a very new staff team down there. And so Randy gets to go out with them on the hard ones. But we've made huge strides. Commissioner Kester, I don't believe you're getting any calls. I'm not hearing anything. And that was not where we were some time ago. So we're thrilled to be able to respond to folks. And now we're faster than the private permit options. So I don't know if folks are choosing us still or them. It's a different service delivery model, but Randy, good job.
If I can say something, I think some of us been in it, when it was the issues that we had. And I think one of the smartest things that came out of this was the divide and conquer way that I think it was, if it wasn't all your idea, I think it was mostly. But to be able to have, Randy, spearheading one section and Stacy, spearheading the other. And we didn't know how that was going to work out at first, but I think it has. And, to let Randy focus on all of that, to let Stacy focus on the, lodging and the other side of that used to be one unit. And so that was great. And hopefully we never have to worry about the backlogs that we had at that one time again. So thank you, Randy. Stacy was here. I'd say thank you too. But anyway, she watches. Thanks, Stacy.
She's in lead training. She sends her regards. She's getting amped up on that because she does our lead. Whatever she said.
I don't see everything they do, but everything that I'm seeing here lately is just trash soil. And they're really having to work to find a solution. So that says a lot about that team, that they're staying ahead of it. Like I said, they may be going out on jobs that are just beautiful dirt, but I haven't seen them. Everything me and Randy's been on has been trash dirt. Let's dig 30 feet down, see if we can find something.
Randy tells me, I don't know if he'll tell y'all in an open meeting, but he says those are the fun ones. He's like, that pretty soil. He's like, this is a walk in the park. He likes the challenge.
His belly's full of them.
Sorry, didn't mean to.
I know, I'm glad you did. It's something to celebrate for sure. We are thrilled. And it's the workplace satisfaction when folks aren't calling you every day, chewing you out about where you are and everything. The mood is just better. And I'm not like, every time my phone rings, I'm good. And that's a nice thing too. And I've already spoken about pool season coming to a close. So we've been very busy this summer and it's been warm, but we've made some huge strides and it was a good year for a good summer for us here at the health department. And we're gearing up for our input on here, but we're gearing up for our back to school immunizations. The other day I walked through the lobby upstairs and I said, there's no chairs. What's going on? They were all full because we have done our job. We're trying to get kids immunized before they go back to school. And so that is a busy season for the clinical check-in staff as well as the clinic nurses. And I've not heard any screaming. Now, if you go down to Wiki, you hear the screaming, but the kids aren't screaming about the shots too bad this year. So that's good. And that concludes my health director and program report, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Any questions of any of that? Lillian always does an exhaustive review of all that. So any questions for her? Thank you again. Then moving on to the old business, item number 7, the annual training topics. We discussed it last time.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't decide the motion, did we? On that? We did. Okay. So now we're to the phase of planning for it. I had to actually look and I didn't find it. So
maybe we didn't. Well, that was the one we went with, but.
Yeah.
All right. Good thing we have the minutes. Annual training. At the next meeting, she will bring a couple of options on how they wanted the training to proceed. Yeah, y'all made a motion and approved it last time. So yeah, I'm just supposed to tell y'all how y'all wanted, or see how y'all wanted this to go.
Okay, all right. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I missed that.
I'm glad you reminded me because I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to tell y'all, Mary Lou brought to me, she's like, oh, I did this great public health, well, I don't know that great was the adjective you used. You did a training for public health nursing that's required. And in that training, she remembered a really interesting part about decentralized public health. So I reached out to the folks. I was like, hey, can we just plug and play and use that here? And I got a transcript. And it was like just some type. I was like, I'm not bringing that to these folks. Y'all don't want to read that. So we're still trying to dive into it. There is a whole
Copyrighted. I did find out that a lot of that was copyrighted. So I don't know how I don't know.
we're still looking into. I mean, nobody even wrote back and said, hey, if you want to pay, that wasn't even an option. So we don't really know how we can get a hold of it, but we're digging in on that. There is a module on the UNC School of Public Health about decentralized public health. And then there's some folks that work at the state that I thought might be interesting too. So I will tell you, we plan on doing this in October. I promise I won't bore you to tears. And I think that it'll be a good, and maybe I said you might bore us to tears. I don't know. So, but I think it'll be something good that y'all will really appreciate, and it'll help you understand a little bit more about how the work we do is influenced by the state and what sort of latitude we do and don't have with the decisions and the funding that we have. So that's my plan for y'all. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Now, the next bit of old business was we had brought up the opening procedures. You know, I've watched the Board of Commissioners as well as a couple other boards do something similar to this. I noticed that we don't give the honor that we all have by our and I'm one of them, so I enjoy putting the uniform on when I get to. And just this nation, the 250th year. I mean, out of all nations on this planet that we have, more has been done because of the freedom of 250 years than any 1,000 years of any other country. And it's because we let leadership come from the individuals rather than kings and oligarchies and things like that. So couldn't be a better time to maybe bring this back up. I know we talked about it a little bit last time. I was going to ask them that you put up there. But for whatever reason, I was thinking it was around 300, but
I looked at some different prices. In the last meeting, I think I whispered to you, all right, let's get up, it's 300, 400. Amazon is not maybe the best quality, but Amazon is one of the preferred vendors now pretty much with the county because of the cost savings. So I did find this on Amazon for $150, and it would be a stand flag. And maybe too, the $300 might have been for a United States and a North Carolina.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want me to try to get both, one, whatever y'all want.
My opinion, we got to, have input. I think North Carolina flag as well. I mean, we serve both as our duties here. So perhaps that might add that. Regardless, we have the fundings for it, no problem on that. So anyway, is there any discussion about having this with the Pledge of Allegiance, and perhaps if it's acceptable, a moment of silence, to open our session.
I'm all for it.
100% backing.
Yep, that'd be great.
Can we get an American flag made in America?
I can definitely.
I'll pay the difference personally.
This one might be, but
Did we confirm this is full size? This is not.
they just put the window there to show that was the height. But I will make sure full size and made in America.
That could be a dollhouse.
You're right, Adam. It could be. Barbie could be over there in the corner. And you would like me to get the North Carolina one as well?
Is that acceptable?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Can we get a motion to do
It's a
that?
whole lot better looking than the South.
Make a motion to get both flags.
Second.
And a second. Okay, second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Awesome. Thank you so much. That was it's a little thing of mine. I'm glad that y'all agreed with that.
I got something I'd like to say too.
Yeah.
The moment of silence thing. I mean, the way I look at it, I'm a Christian. My Lord and Savior died openly in public on the cross and shed his blood to save me. And I just don't think it renders the due respect and appreciation to just have a moment of silence and not openly mention my Savior's name, Jesus Christ. And I mean, when I pray, I punctuate my prayers with Jesus Christ because I know who it's going to. And that's who I worship and serve and has saved me. And that's just my feelings on it. That's how we do it at the commissioners meeting. We take turns. Each commissioner gets to open in prayer each different time. And that's just my feelings on it. I don't know how anybody else feels, but I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up. Same exact sentiments here. I did want to, just be open about, what to do.
Right.
But yeah, is that anything different? We have to move on that. Okay. All right.
And
Well,
as the
good.
chairman, you can, I think, if folks would like an opportunity to pray, then, because we have such a large meeting and sometimes folks don't make it. So I would hate to like sort of assign it, but maybe, before the meeting, if somebody could come to you and say, I'd like the chance for the prayer today, and if nobody does, are you comfortable with?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that do. I'll take that on
Okay.
if someone else doesn't.
I wouldn't mind doing the first.
Okay, all right, sounds great.
Perfect.
Amen.
Awesome.
I don't want to be the devil's advocate. But I just, and I agree with everything you're saying. Okay?
Right.
But is there any risk of offending like a public visitor or something if we have somebody? Because not everybody has the same faith that we do.
I really don't care about offending people, honestly.
Yeah, I don't either.
Not when it comes to
Are there
that.
any laws that restrict what you can say? Like,
Well, I mean, like,
I just want to
I
make
bet
sure
at the
that we don't
outset of the
set
meeting,
ourselves-
you can say, we're gonna have a prayer.
Yeah.
And if anybody here doesn't feel led to participate,
Leave.
you're welcome to
Leave
step
and
outside and
come
excuse
back.
yourself. And
I
that's,
agree. That's fine. I just
I would say.
want to make sure we're not setting up for a lawsuit or
Yeah.
anything or anything. You know, that's
Yeah,
the
definitely.
only, I'm okay with it.
But if we are getting
But if
paid
you
by
don't
the
think it's
county, we're
Um,
free citizens.
okay. All right.
We should be able to pray anywhere we want, shouldn't we?
yeah, I mean, if you look at the case law, I mean, it does say that we're not, you're not supposed to mention a, specific, like Jesus or, or whatever, but I know we do, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And we'll just suffer the consequences if somebody raises
Deal with it if it comes, but I think
up an issue.
if somebody, like I say, just mention that at the outset of the meeting, that we pray here and we recognize this, and if this is something you don't want to, or anybody that doesn't want to participate, they can excuse themselves and come back after. That way they're not being coerced to do anything. It's their choice if they want to stay in here and participate or not.
Okay.
That makes perfect
okay
sense
with
to
it.
me.
On that vein, I feel like it's my responsibility to just say, if we did have a member that wanted to say a prayer and it was a prayer to not in line with the Christian faith, which I believe is kind of the way the majority of folks feel, would we, Adam, what would we, I shouldn't say what would we do? I mean,
Well, I mean, I think you would allow them to say it, but if someone else.
If we didn't
wouldn't say
agree with it, we could excuse ourselves,
Mhm.
vice versa.
I don't care who anybody prays to. Pray to whoever you want to. I'm not gonna involve myself in your prayer
Right.
if I don't agree with you. But I don't have a problem if somebody wants to come in here and pray to anybody they want to. But when you get done, we're gonna pray to our God.
just want to make sure I covered all those bases since we
Yeah.
were bringing it up.
And I think I like Adam's, let's ask for forgiveness instead of a mission.
Amen.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that as long as you're not demeaning somebody else's faith, you're not trying to push your faith on somebody else, that is acceptable. But I just wanted to be sure that we're okay. That's all.
And I appreciate you bringing that up. That's a good point.
All right, well, I can't wait. What do you think? Or maybe we'll do it by the next meeting?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't have mind.
I mean, Amazon usually
Sure.
delivers them.
Well, if that was not
tomorrow.
Make America, make sure we find one. And if there's not one,
There is.
There.
Find them on Amazon.
I was thinking maybe Lindsay.
Put it in.
Is
They do it
Made in
every
America.
Sunday.
Thank you so much.
I order them. I wear them about every 3 months
Got
because
it.
the wind tears mine to shreds.
Oh, a good one gets, the stiffer ones don't look as good. Well, I guess then we'll move on to new business, and we have Corinne that's gonna do some budget work.
We had our Christmas in July, on July 1st, and Janie Ainge was very helpful in getting me all of the numbers from each of our lines throughout our 9 different budgets. Just as a refresher, the number up there was what we requested as a total department request with the county management for our budget. They had offered a proposed cost of living adjustment, which is kind of our annual raise that they're able to offer, which was $500 to your current salary and then 2.5% added to that. We did also request 2 additional positions, which was the Stoner Trauma School Nurse position and an additional WIC office support. And then just some highlights of new things to our budget was the continued use of our temporary workforce funds to continue to recruit and have 2 temporary school nurse positions, as well as some new professional development projects that we have going on. And we also knew that we would be receiving an increase to our medical malpractice insurance. So that's just a refresher of what we were asking for going into the new fiscal year. And the top number is what our total approved was. County management, I think all of you have heard that we use magic math. Their magic math is way different than ours. So they look at each line, they compare it to previous years. They know all of the fringe rates that kind of fluctuate throughout the year. So each line, some of them had a little more than we asked for, a little less than we asked for. And overall, our budget was, I would say, satisfactory for what we requested. We did get the 502.5% cost of living adjustment, which is very exciting for staff. And we were also approved to get our new positions, which we've already hired and recruited for. So that's exciting. Some of our unapproved requests, I would say were more missing or maybe decreased from what we have requested was we're missing some of our workforce development funds that we had earmarked for some staff trainings, including travel related to those. And we also had a significant decrease to our environmental health overtime budget and their professional services line, which offers payment to local veterinary offices for rabies testing. I will say county management and reviewing past years, we used a lot less for the professional services, but there's been an increase in rabies and also an increase over the past few years in the cost of doing business for that. I will say the environmental health salary line does have some leniency. We can't move that money quite yet because there are some progressions due to being fully authorized and things like that. But we do have an opportunity to move some money later in the budget year to make up some of those deficiencies. And I don't know a more eloquent way to say it, but our child health budget was just a little bit wonky. In the past years, we had 1 full-time person working in that budget, and it was a state-funded position. We've now restructured that position, so I think they were going off of the old framework for that. So I am working with Tim, who is our new assistant county manager and also still working, I think, as the budget analyst. So he's a busy guy, but helping us get some of these things changed in upcoming commissioners meetings. So we do have the opportunity throughout the year to make amendments to our budget, which is great because we don't know in March what changes will come by July or even by December. So we do have that opportunity to submit changes at every commissioner's meeting for approval. And between now and February, when we submitted our budget, we've had a few new opportunities. We had Stacy applied and received a FDA National Environmental Health Association grant for food and lodging. And so she has some supply opportunities to purchase as well as some trainings. We're also in the works to reclassify a WIC position that was part-time, and the workload is requiring a full-time position for that. And we did also purchase 2 new vehicles for the care management team that we have had to move some money for just to cover that vehicle mileage. But budgets are very fluid. They're constantly changing with new opportunities and staffing changes. So we just keep an eye on it each month. But we were overall pleased with what was approved for this coming year.
Corinne, WIC is the fastest growing thing, I think, in the state of North Carolina. That number is almost scary how fast it's going up. Do we have any data to what's driving that? Is unemployment going up? Why is that program growing so fast?
That's a little out of my wheelhouse. I don't know if either of you have information on participation rates.
I will just say, I looked at, I was asked to do, an interview with the city of Lexington, and they wanted to look at, when they hired me, the news release. So I was looking at old press releases. Belinda found it, Detective Wilson over there found the release, but in the process, I was looking up, just different things. And when Jana became the WIC director, which, Jana, can you remind me which year that was? 2017?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So in 2017, in the article, I just read it because I was like, oh, what did they say about Jana? It was 3,800 participants to WIC in 2017. What is your caseload now? 40? 42. So in 9 years, 500 is what we've gone up. And North Carolina is in the top 5 of states growing in population. So in my mind, I thought that sort of trends, I mean, it doesn't seem like, if you think of the new people that have come in, it doesn't seem like it's gone up that disproportionately to the population we're getting.
It was the numbers. What was it? 3 million 2 years ago? Do you have those numbers? Can you remember those numbers? What did we spend on WIC 2 years ago and then last year?
Our total operating budget for WIC is not 3 million. It was 867,000.
That's what we receive as a department, not voucher or
Okay.
I think
benefit rates.
Benefits.
They spent in the.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yes, ma'am.
The redemption rates.
Yeah,
Yeah, then you redeemed back into the
Back in the
locally, yeah.
community.
that number just seemed really high. I remember hearing that at one of the meetings for this year, and I was like,
Redemption,
that
right?
number went
Got it.
way up.
Well, food, okay, so that's one of the things that's interesting
Cost.
about WIC. If you're a WIC participant and you are a SNAP participant, which is the DSS program, and I won't be able to speak much more other than very little because I don't know much about that program. SNAP, you get a card with a dollar amount. And it says, these are your dollars, spend them how you want. Don't go over. If you do, then you swipe the card, it'll be like insufficient funds or whatever. In WIC, you get a prescribed food package. You need broccoli or vegetables, you need whole grains, you need cheese, you need milk. It is irrelevant how much those items cost.
That
So
makes sense.
that's when it goes up. And so the WIC team in North Carolina from the USDA gets money, and they have to be very careful because we all know that grocery prices change pretty quickly. And so the WIC team in North Carolina is responsible for making sure that they have allocated enough in their dollar amounts because you don't know what people will redeem. Folks that get SNAP benefits as well as WIC benefits oftentimes use WIC and then the other things in their buggy that don't qualify, like, and I always use Doritos and I love Doritos and I had some at lunch today, so I'm not shaming a Dorito, but Doritos are not WIC approved. And so if you have a buggy full of groceries, oftentimes they will use their WIC card to take off those things. They'll use their SNAP card to take off those things. Anything else in the buggy that's not approved by WIC or SNAP, they pay for it themselves. But that's the reason.
That makes sense. That's why those numbers were going up. I thought those numbers just seemed extremely high, but that's
It's
the
the
amount they're-
redemption for the
Okay,
particular food.
that's where I was confused.
I'm glad you asked. I don't want people being like, what happened? So, yeah, I'm glad. Good question. I think that's it.
Well, thank you, Corinne.
Any questions?
Nope. All right, I think Randy is next.
So this is House Bill 376, new session law 2632. These are just highlighted sections from that session law that impacts environmental health, not necessarily directly Davidson County environmental health, but statewide. This is just a branch summary of the actual general statutes that were amended. I'm not going to read through each one of those, but just a brief overview. That first one essentially says that any county that has local rules for wastewater, they must be approved by the state. So you can't have local rules unless they're approved by the state. Doesn't affect us. Again, there are some surrounding counties that do have local rules. The second bullet there pertains to professional engineers and AOWEs, which are private licensed soil scientists that permit septic systems. It allows them the ability to inspect permits that are issued by the local health department. So the final inspection before the operations permit would be issued. We typically do the inspection, but it grants them the authority to do the inspection themselves. And then they basically have to approve that all the conditions that we set forth were met. And then it also directs us to issue an operate permit, which this does affect us a little bit because previous guidance we were given was that we did not issue an operate permit because we didn't do the inspection for that. The third bullet there allows for Board of Health to adopt more stringent rules as it relates to private well water testing, but not for the permitting or inspections of private drinking water wells. And then the fourth bullet kind of just hits the nail harder and basically says that a local Board of Health or local health departments cannot adopt local rules for the permitting and inspecting of private drinking water wells. So you can't have local rules for private drinking water wells, but you can for irrigation, agricultural wells, or other non-potable sources. Again, none of that really impacts us at this time unless the board wish to adopt local rules for something like that.
Randy, what does that look like for you if you write a permit and then a soil scientist does the final on it? Something goes wrong, who's holding the bag there?
Everybody's doing like this usually.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So the legislation basically says we don't have any liability. So,
Okay.
But again, we didn't do the inspection. So at the time we were told not to issue an operating permit, but now we're told to issue an operating permit, but we issue it basically with the information that they provided for us.
If your department's going to be held responsible for it, I think you need to do the final on it, in my opinion.
I don't see a lot of people doing this privately. I don't know why anyone would want to. And I said that to begin with, like no one would ever do this. And then we've had maybe this happened 3 times in the county. And I think this legislation really just cleaned up that they were allowed to do it and how they presented that information back to us. I don't know why one would want to do it other than the installer has messed up and he's scared that the county's going to fail him. I mean, I don't know. I hate to say something like that, but I don't see a lot of this probably happening.
We did get an interesting email, speaking of private work. Well, we didn't, Lillian did, and I was like, oh no, Randy's my schedule. But I did reply to the gentleman saying you need to speak with Randy. But the gentleman that sent me the email had like 9 or 10 pictures. He was about to close on a house. Was it on Sowers Road? I think so, because it was right near where Nana lives. And I was like, well, I know it's like a big drop off, and I could tell in the pictures. It's mobile homes that they put near the road, and the homeowner or the potential homeowner that were about to close on the property was very concerned because equipment had driven over, and he thought that like the septic system had moved and all this stuff. And so I got to look it up, and it was a privately done system, and they had the whole thing. And so I emailed him back and said, I'd like you to speak with Randy Swicegood, our environmental health director for on-site wastewater, but you've gone through a private, or the builders have gone through a private company, so this is not on us. Did you ever hear back from that gentleman? Yeah. So I guess he went and reached out to them, but that was my biggest fear when they made this AOWE option, that we were going to be the ones that were blamed for bad work. And that's what essentially happened there. Thankfully, I was able to email the gentleman back immediately and let him know it's not on us, but it does get more complicated now that we've got 2 separate groups doing the work. So
I see a lot of problems that could arise from that.
Well, I feel like you're going to see more legislation coming, and this is how they've chose to rewrite the rules. Essentially, it's faster to pass legislation than it is to rewrite the rules. And I think some of the stuff that happened during COVID was probably needed. But, once you kind of let the horse out of the barn, you can't get it back in. And so I think it's cleaning up some of the things that were done then. We're going to see some more changes in the next year, I would say.
Any questions for Randy on these new legislation? Thanks. All right, Mary Lou, you have some of the year school health reports.
And y'all can see all of this. The main thing for our school nurses, of course, that y'all probably want to see is the student nurse encounters part. It gives you, when they do speak with a nurse, 10% of those kids of 4,700 were sent home. So seat time is important for kids. You want them in the schools, you want them there. And a lot of times the kids will go to the front, and we have tried to figure out a way to capture those numbers when a nurse is not in the school, because you go to the office, they send them, they're going to call the parent and they're going home. So when you do have a nurse in the building, it is a very low percentage of kids that are going home, and then they're back to the classroom so they can get that seat time to learn in schools. So that's what you guys over the years have wanted to see, is how we're doing with that type of thing. So that is why that is in there. We do have some communications with parents, students, different things that just shows what they're doing across the board. And then medications. And these are medications that they're having to do, not like a Tylenol. These are medications that you're seeing in the school that is year-round medications. Or it could be that they are on a medication for an extended amount of time, but maybe not the whole school year. That's what that medications line is and what our school nurses are doing. Not all school nurses are given those. We have to actually do a medication administration class for these folks that are given this medication to the lay people. And then we do have to look at the logs, and if there's discrepancies, we do report that. And then knock on wood, we're not having a lot of that, but we do have to maintain and look at that as medications are given to the kids in the schools. So that is it in a nutshell. If there's anything particular, I probably haven't asked this in a few years. We have a lot of reports that we do have to follow. If there's something that you guys want me to see, you want to see in these reports, let me know. We'll probably have it in a report somewhere. But these were the things that have come out of the years that I've been presenting that you guys have wanted to see the years I've done this. So if there's anything particular. We do principal reports. It was twice a year. Now we're moving to once a year. So everything that the school nurses are doing in the schools, the principals, they do have that connection to where they report to the principals once a year to say, this is what's happening. This is what, you know, you may need to do differently, something like that. So they do get that interaction. We do interact with counselors, with any of, they're not always in the 504 plan or the IEPs and things like that. If they're asked to come in, they do those. That's not in there, but I mean, we do more than just what is shown here in this report. It's just a lot of data. So any questions for me?
If it's not too much trouble, I would love to know how many, what is it, 504? What's the form for kids?
You've got different forms for kids, so not everybody has a 504, but I can look and see.
I'd be interested to know how many are like in Lexington, Thomasville, and in Davidson County.
Okay.
I know those take up a lot of time.
They do take up a lot of time. But I will look, and each one, just so you know, if you have a 504, that doesn't mean extreme. It could be something minor, and you could still have a 504. You could have, it depends on your doctor, and you could, I'm not saying it's not important, but some are more so. My kids had 504, so I'm trying to, so I will see what I can come.
I don't spend a lot of time. I would just be curious to.
Might be on my, it's an 18-page report, so I'm glad you asked, because this is just what I've been pulling out, and it may be some more things that I've pulled out that they want to see.
Thank you.
Just, because especially those online, 504, could you explain what that form is real quick?
I'll try.
Okay.
Yeah, I can give you examples. So if your child needs speech therapy, or they need any kind of extra services in the classroom, then your child might have a 504 plan. I don't know what 504, this is all the LEA
Right, yeah.
language. So they may have that plan, so they would get some extra services and qualify for that in the school system. So with that, they would have an individual education plan, which I said IEP. And that means you sit down with a team of people in the school. You have a teacher, you have a counselor. There has to be an administrative person in the meeting, a parent. They'll bring the student in at some point, but sometimes not. And then I can't remember, but it's like 5 or 6 people, and then they meet and the nurse, depending on what the plan is. If it's medical, say a kid has seizures, and then you have some type of plan for that, then you're probably going to pull in your medical folks in with that. So then you would, when you have your meetings quarterly is what I did. I don't know what they do now, but you would have that meeting and see what that year holds for that student as far as extra services in the classroom, extras, time taken test, another teacher in the classroom, or pulled out for speech or whatever it may be. That's what gets a 504 IEP. There's other terms that's
It's like their
LEA.
plan of action.
It's a plan and
A year?
it just guides them for a year. Yes, you have to have a new one. And if anything changes, then you do go in and meet with those folks and you change or update that IEP or the 504. There's another numbered one. So that's where that comes into play.
My daughter was type 1.
Yeah.
And so like her
Remember
504, she could have water in class. If her sugar's high, she needed water, so she could drink water. Obviously, if her sugar was low, we kept snacks with her. She could sit there in the middle of class and eat snacks to get her sugar. I mean, she couldn't do it just for anything, but if her sugar was low, she could eat.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It sets that guideline, so there's no question about.
Care and what it guides them through that year. On the flip side of that, that's not as medical. You have speech, where my kids needed speech, then they had speech therapists and things. And so you got different avenues that you take with those kinds of things.
I personally had heard of IEP, but I wasn't real sure
Yeah,
before.
yeah. But I'll get that. It's probably high. If I had to guess, I would say,
I know that's going to cut into a lot of their time getting all that put together.
yes. And even if the nurse isn't in with the meetings per se every time, there's that legwork to get them to that meeting.
Yeah.
So
Curious too, Mary Lou, any trends, I guess, that you've noticed with the student to nurse encounters and percent at home? Keep any, this year compared to last year, or maybe this time of the year versus another time of the year?
But no, there's not. They really have to need to go. I mean, it's usually high fevers or something contagious thinking.
Sure.
For the best to send them home. Some of them come and they just
Not just trying to play
talk and something's bothering them. Whereas if you went to the office, they're going to call and they're going to go home, and the nurse sometimes spends a little bit more time. But I would say trend wise, as far as something to look out for, if we're sending them, it's probably a high fever or something that we would be afraid that they would be given to versus versus something else. But I can look at that too. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Regarding trends, I would just like to add, it's not surprising to me at all that Davidson County has the highest number sent home, because as you can see, they have 35 schools covered by 10 nurses, where the other schools have a nurse there more often. So those schools, they are going to the office more so than the nurse. And so I'm a little surprised it's not higher, to be honest.
It probably is. We just weren't able to capture if it
Because they didn't.
bypassed the nurse.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mary Lou. New business item number D, we could affectionately call this sharing the love, but instead we'll say communicable disease report.
Well, that's one way to.
Whatever it takes.
So, Yeah, let's jump right into the communicable disease report. So this again is 2025 we're looking at. And so on the outside columns, you will see the numbers for 2024. North Carolina is on your right, Davidson County is on your left. So when we're looking at our foodborne type things, our GI communicable diseases, Davidson County is really outperforming the state when it comes to some of these major things, which was great. You know, we're doing education, we're talking to people, doing good. Yes, our favorite cyclosporus is on here, but again, this is 2025, 2024. It'll be interesting to look at next year, so don't forget about it. E. coli was really what stood out and how much we increased from 24 to 25. And especially even compared to the state, our increase was significant. So might be a good area there for some more education, public facing. So healthcare acquired infections. Overall, it shows that we're doing a really good job of working with our healthcare facilities, infection control, and keeping diseases manageable, and that our numbers are pretty good and in line kind of what the state trends are as well. Hepatitis. It just gets more fun as we go through each slide. So hepatitis, everything other than hepatitis C is looking okay, trending downward. Hepatitis C will be something to keep an eye on. Of course, it is a statewide thing, but our numbers are pretty significant increases there in chronic and even acute. So we will be watching that, seeing if we can dig a little bit further, pinpoint some areas for more education.
I will add to that, the most recent with the hepatitis C is our guidelines for testing changed during this time. So I would then say, if you're testing, you're going to find it. So that's why you're going to see a little bit of a spike. Before your guidelines where we did not really test a lot for the hepatitis C. So now there have been some changes and we are testing a lot more. So obviously you're going to find more. So you're going to see that. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to go on with that coming up. So.
Mary Lou, could you share risk factors for Hep C, please?
Well, for the testing now, anybody age, put me on the spot, but it's an age, old people like me, I can say, for hepatitis C is going to get tested for hepatitis C if they come in the door. You might can help me.
Yeah, usually 50, 55, yeah.
See, I am 50 plus. So, but I mean,
1945 and 1965, that's kind of the Woodstock years. That's
yes.
There we go.
So those are your higher risk, I'm assuming. And so that's what we're testing now when you're walking through the door. But your drug users, sharing of different, that's what's your high risk folks, and that's what's creating these numbers, I think, to go up, because if you walk in the door and you have those risk factors, you're going to be tested.
Incarceration be another one.
Yes.
Certain travels, is that true too?
So
some endemic areas, but more so those
we have
drug users
gone into jails and for incarcerations for high risk activities and things, and we've done some testing with that. But the guidelines, I think they did change the last, I would say time-wise, but I think it has been 2024, 25-ish that those guidelines changed for lab testing. So we are testing a lot more folks for hepatitis. Even our children, believe it or not, depending on risk factors with the family and the lifestyles of the family that may put children at risk, there has been some cases and some incidents, and I don't have the terminology exactly, but where we may test a child even at some point.
And if this is something of interest, we can look further into the demographic breakdowns of some of these numbers and get a little bit more linear or granular, I guess, on what we're looking at, too, without being overly invasive.
Does Davidson County provide on-site with hepatitis shot?
You mean the on-site staff employees? Oh,
I know that was a big thing 20 years ago. I don't know if it still is.
Like if you work in healthcare, do you get hepatitis
the
vaccine?
on-site staff
On-site.
members.
Oh,
The hep site.
I don't, is that on the list?
yeah, it is. Yeah, you mean our employees?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. They are, but they can decline it. It's not required. So we do offer it, but it's, but yes. And I,
Vaccination? Oh, gotcha. Okay, not
as
not
far
titer
as,
or-
landfill, I think we've added, I'm speaking off my memory, but I think that not all landfill, but the people that work in certain,
Good idea.
I think we do that.
That's something that Tanya does when we onboard staff members. She meets with everyone that works here and everybody has an assigned sort of
Yeah.
tier of risk.
Yeah.
And so she talks with them and she says, let's see your immunization record. It's all confidential and private. And it's been 20 years since I've done this, but I remember having to find my immunization record and talk with Karen Copley at the time, who was the CD nurse. And she and I went through it. She said, well, this is what your risk factor is, and it's an environmental health employee.
Right.
So we do that when we onboard folks.
So it's per position is what your risk might be. But yes, we do for those that are working in the on-site and things like that. Yes.
Moving on to respiratory diseases, we saw quite a bit of increase in adult flu deaths in 2025. That makes us, step back and look at, how harsh was the flu season? Was there a decrease in flu immunizations? Might take a look at high risk populations and really advocate for those individuals to get flu vaccine every year, things like that. Let's see if you want to go to the next one. So here's our sexually transmitted infections. Let's see, chlamydia and gonorrhea, they went down. Syphilis, on the other hand, everything. There's so much information here. I'm trying not to overload everybody. So our syphilis, non-primary, non-secondary, so early syphilis numbers did increase between 24 and 25, and that was an opposite trend from the state, which might be something to look at as well as the primary syphilis. Overall, the big hitters that we see frequently are trending in the right direction. We did see an uptick in our HIV numbers, so another opportunity for education as well there. Right, and then vaccine preventable diseases. This will be another one to keep a close eye on next year to see where we are, especially after we had the measles outbreak in South Carolina earlier this year. That's not even listed up here because both Davidson County and North Carolina did not have anything that was statistically significant to put on the numbers. But our pertussis numbers were down between 24 and 25, which was different from the state, which was great. But we saw an uptick in varicella. So here is where we are really going to start to see those folks that are hesitant about vaccines and those diseases coming up into our environment again. So keep a close eye on that. Vector-borne, we got some early signs that we really need to educate more about ticks and mosquitoes. We've heard a lot about that in the news too, that the tick-borne diseases are a bit more active. And so that's something we'll keep an eye on and work on our education for that as well. Any questions? That's a lot of numbers and a lot of arrows and not a real easy way to share that information.
Yeah, a lot of data. That's
Yeah.
Any questions before she moves on to?
I would just say, I mean, in a county our size, I mean, an extra case or two of anything, I mean, could drastically.
Oh, absolutely.
push those
Yeah.
numbers
While
in one
some of these
direction.
numbers are very small, it's still, but still want to watch them.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not downplaying. I'm just saying you can have an outlier that like
Right.
a couple people in a family or something get something and then it throws the stats.
I don't have anything funny to say about this one, but the service report.
I apologize that my slides, they got a little wonky here, but so our customer satisfaction, general survey that we push or have, available for all customers, to participate in if they want to. Last year we had 238 responses. And you can see out of the ones that we did receive, over half of those were there for clinical services, but those were excluding family planning specifically. About 20% were family planning patients, about 12% there for environmental health, and then the other 17% could have been anywhere from care management, vital records, WIC was included there, anything else that just didn't get into those main buckets. Overall, everybody seemed to write all the good things about our staff. So the 92% you see there, that was that the person filling out the survey responded good or great. So we were very pleased with that. The length of visits, while most people said, they were good with the length of their visit, these were the breakdowns of appointment times or how long they were here. I'm hoping that those that no response were either in and out, or obviously they weren't super ups the visit or anything like that to give us any more information there. This, I apologize, I didn't get a title on this. This goes to with our school nurses. So we do survey the principals every year, as Mary Lou was alluding to earlier, to talk about their relationship with the school nurses and get some feedback from them, because they're in their own population. They're not here doing services in the building. And so we ask the principals every year a little bit about how their relationship is, and if their school nurse is meeting the needs, if it's a valued partnership, things like that. So overall, very, very, very strong response and appreciation for our school nurses. Most of the responses normally indicate that they wish they would be somebody in the school with them all the time. But normally this is very positive feedback, and something that Kristen, we break it down into the 3 school systems, and then by school, so that she can work with her team, to do some coaching, do some troubleshooting, things like that. So overall, this is a very useful tool that we've been doing the last couple of years. And then I think if you go to the next slide, there was, these were kind of common themes where principals had the opportunity to, give some feedback or, mention things in their comments section. But most, notable there was praises for their nurse. Most principals really, really appreciate the work that they do. So that was great feedback to hear for our team. That is that. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I have a comment. Thank you all for what you do, everybody here. As somebody who sits on several boards and has to get information, it's very nice to call the health department and say, hey, I need this, this, and this. And the answer is always, okay, give me 10 minutes. I'll have it to you. Some of the other places I would deal with, I had to go to Adam's office the other day and I sit on a board to get information. It shouldn't be like that. So Thank you all for what you do. Thank you for not hiding information and just being easy to work with. It makes everybody's life easier.
I think it's amazing with the nurse-student ratio that we have, that they've done that well. Sure. I mean, when I see like 10% agree, they didn't go with the strongly agree. I just think it's incredible. But good job.
Yeah.
Really do spread themselves thin, but
Yes.
and they they love their job. And I think that is a little part of it, that they love it. They just put everything they have into it, 150%, if you can give that.
That feels,
Great job.
oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I was just saying, it seems across the board, we have really, we haven't done a employee satisfaction survey in a while. The county did one a couple of times, and there was, Commissioner Hester, I'm not sure if you were on the board then, but HR did this like county-wide staff, like, what do you think about the county? And the response was just dismal. I think there's like 1,000 people that work here, and like less than 100 staff members actually took the time to do it. We did one internally, And I just wanted to share, people here really by and large like their jobs. And I think that shows, and that's why we do good customer service, because people aren't miserable here. And so I'm glad to hear that it feels that way. And that's the way customers are being received, because that's very important to us. And I think we hold each other accountable. If a staff member hears somebody talking kind of weird, like, whoa, what's going on? Or if somebody's upset, and we try to work through things together. And it's just, we're trying to be as happy as we can for the time that we're here serving. So I'm glad to hear that.
We don't know.
Being the same year is responsible for all of
Absolutely.
the guys.
And we don't know what you want to see until you tell us. So that's why I like for you to say, can you get me this? And I know to look for it. So I appreciate that.
Next will be mind reading, so you know what. we
Yeah.
Work on that before the next.
I bet say that.
Thank you, Jan and Mary Lou. Well, as y'all know, we work for the county. You know, we need to be good stewards of the county money, and part of that is transparency. So Lillian has something to share with us about Stephen's amendment and disclosures, something that I actually need to be educated on. So thank you.
Yes, y'all, this apparently has been around since 1989. And apparently, it came to light this year, and it is now included in our consolidated agreement. So when we go back and we talk about the decentralized public health system and the training that we'll do, one of the overarching things that we do for this agency is we have a consolidated agreement that comes from the state. They added language in this year's agreement that says you will follow Stephen's amendment disclosure. Everybody was like, who? What is that? And it's been around since 89. And essentially it is a request for anyone who receives federal funds to actually print how much federal funding is involved in that. We are still working through this, and the information came to us in June, and I know we're in August now, but we are trying to figure out exactly what it looks like to make sure that we're doing this correctly. And I have an example to show y'all, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. So this is actually something that Jana created. Isn't it lovely? Let's come work at the Davidson County Health Department. These are the positions we have. This is what we need to do to get folks to join our team. You can click on this and you can start to work with us. One of the positions on there is a WIC position, and there's actually 2 positions on there that are WIC, and we all know that WIC is 100% federally funded. So this advertisement to come work for us does not meet Stephen's disclosure. What we would need to do. Now, this is this is what Lillian does. So this is why it's ugly. It would never.
I saw my eyes.
That would not be something to do, but I wanted it to stand out to y'all so you could tell the difference too. It will not look like this, but this is the kind of language that we'll have to put on anything that is tied to federal dollars. You have to put how much we received, and there's the number. See, look, I said 867. That must have been last year's. $903,000 is what, and $788 is what we received from the federal government this year, and it is 100% funded by the federal government. This is going to be a great deal of work on our team. I was telling the chairman before we started, I'm not even sure that it doesn't have to be on this, because on this agenda, we talked about things that are federally funded. We are working with legal. Our region's working with an attorney who's Deborah Bechtel. I know she's advised our entire region, because this affects everybody in the United States of America, but it particularly affects local public health departments that signed a consolidated agreement this year. If we do not disclose this and someone comes, the penalty, and the reason that we want to do this is if we do not disclose appropriately and we are audited, we could have our money pulled back. And we don't want to do that to Davidson County. So we are working hard on this. It will not be as red like that when we do it. There is also, you can use a scanner to say, for more information about funding on this project, scan here, and it would take them to a page that we have on our website. But where the real work is in this, and Janie has done a great job. Janie has taken all the agreement addendas that we received. She has pulled out how much of it's federal, what percentage it is. And so now we know anything that is funded by those programs, this language will need to be on there. And it'll be specific to the program, how much money and what percentage is in it.
I'm all about transparency, but that's kind of stupid. I mean, Hire 3 people to keep up with that crap.
Or you got me and Corinne. Yeah, yeah. So we're just adding it. And Janie did some
I
work.
don't see objections to that, Jason.
Yeah. But it's one of those things that probably seemed like a really good idea to, I mean, I agree, disclosure, like, oh, this thing that I'm doing, my federal tax dollars are doing this. Okay, great. But it is something that Jana's working on, trying to get with every supervisor in the agency to say, okay, you supervise this program. What do you print? What do you advertise? Because anytime you print or advertise, that's where it has to be. They did tell us that we don't need to go throw away things that we've already printed. And because the federal dollar amount will change every year. So this statement right here in red will not be the same statement this time next year because we'll have a different funding amount. So we're going to have to be very careful. We've advised folks, anything that you are printing, we always are very conservative with our printing because things change, but even more so now.
Would it suffice if it was just a percentage, or does it have to be the dollar amount?
Has to be the dollar amount and the percentage.
Okay, well,
Yep, yep, both.
It's like it'd be easier to do with just a QR code.
It could be, and then you can update it like that. But some of the things.
That way you're just updating once.
Yep. The reason that I don't know, I shouldn't say the reason. The QR code makes the most sense for the most up-to-date information. There was something about where a QR code couldn't be used, and that's another piece we're still diving into.
On certain type of communications, you're allowed to use certain things. And there are some that it says you cannot use a QR code. You must put the entire language.
Right? I mean, from 1989, I don't even remember what state he was from. And what's interesting too, in 1989, there were not in Alaska. Okay. There were not QR codes back then. So I don't even understand how that became an issue. But we've got press releases, RFPs, documents describing the program, advertisements, all these things have to go out. And they did say if you're recruiting for a position that's funded, you have to do that as part of it too. So
I know a stamp from 1984 be cheap. Everything 1984.
done. And yeah,
There you go.
yeah, we got created in 1984.
I think this is the proverbial iceberg. It looks like it's only this amount.
And then it's so much
This is
work.
what you
Yeah,
gotta
I mean,
work
again,
on that.
on the surface, it's a wonderful thing. Be transparent. Let's talk about how our tax dollars are being spent. And when you're making this law, you're like, this is a really good thing. It's really the devil's in the details, so to speak, and the work that we have to do at the local level to abide by these rules will be challenging.
This is something that is a statute that passed a long time ago, and have these rules been in effect for a long time? Or they just
It says 1989.
okay?
I think honestly, it's one of those things like we've talked about many times. It's not an issue until someone makes it an issue, and it was made an issue, and the state of North Carolina now included it in our consolidated agreement. So we are made aware of it. I had not heard of this before. Some health directors that have been in public health longer than I have talked about the WIC program, and their rules are a little different. But she said, oh yeah, I remember when I was first a health director, all of our WIC printed materials, because WIC is federally funded, they all had to have this statement on it. And then I think over time they just sort of got away from that. But now it is all federal dollars. So the rules have been in place for a long time. Somebody raised their hand and asked the question, and now the state has put it in our consolidated agreement, which we are beholden to. So.
Have fun, Corinne.
Yep.
Was any questions for Lillian about that? That was good education for me. I had no idea. I thought it was, so. All right. Well, as y'all know, maybe about three meetings ago, we wanted to be able to have just board members' topics to come up. A topic came up to my attention about board compensation. I got some good information from Lillian, but hoping you had, because I definitely have forgot some of it that you sent. Here's some of the surrounding counties, and I'll let
I'll be more than happy to. The question came up, like, how are different local boards of health or consolidated boards banked? How do they, or is any payment involved? And this is the information that I got from Region 3 in our contiguous counties. As you can see, App Health, and I should have mentioned, I didn't put it in parentheses, that is Watauga, Allegheny, and Ashe counties. So those are 3 counties represented by the district health department. But that is how they reimburse their board members. This is a per member reimbursement. And where there is an asterisk is sometimes the vice chair is reimbursed at the same rate as other members, but for most it was in with the chair. And I just thought there's enough numbers and data on here. I would just put it in this category here. The Davidson County reimbursement amount came in. It predates me as the health director, so I'm not sure exactly where that came about and how it came about, and why that number was chosen, but it looks similar to many of the others that are around us. It's my understanding that this was done as an attempt to just say, hey, thank you for your time. Here's some gas money. And that was just in conversation that I had with others. And the ones that are paying more, I don't really know why they pay so much more. Maybe App Help pays more because it's three counties, and so they have to travel further. I'm not really sure, but that is the information that I had. And then some other things were just like the other perks that they had, meals, which we did used to do a meal when we met at 12, but we moved at 3, so the meal is gone. And then everybody just has a few different items there. So I can answer any questions that you might have about that.
Yeah, visiting this, I think, is a great idea because, again, it's nice to maybe set an example of how we would be stewards of the citizens' money, and would love any input about this. If we think it's right, if we think it's too much, if we think it's too low, but it was a great topic brought up to the chair, and so
I cringe every time I see one of those checks, just because I know how much it costs to produce that $20 check. I don't think it's fair to the taxpayers. That's at least got to go through 2 hands. Somebody's got to keep up with everybody that's here. Do you have to approve who's here? Or does it just go straight?
Linda does that.
And so Belinda's got to keep up with all that. It obviously has to go to accounting. Do you know of anybody else that touches that in between you and accounting?
It goes through the business office and then it goes to county finance.
And so then there's 3 people that have touched that. You got to buy the ink, you got to buy the check, you got to buy the envelope, you got to pay the postage. That little $20 check's costing we, the taxpayer, $25. It just doesn't seem like it's worth it to me personally, but that's a board decision.
I will miss seeing Chair Watford's name on check.
I should also share, and Adam, you would probably need to jump in with me on this, but this compensation rate is approved annually by the Board of Commissioners. So I think if we want to change it in any way, up or down, it has to go to the Board of Commissioners for their consideration and approval.
I think so.
Okay.
Jason, great, catch there. Yes, I mean, the paper, everything to do that, and with mail, I mean, stamps, or that's went up. I don't really know how if the meter system went up the same way as just regular stamps did. So it was something to bring up. Any specific opinions about, whether we would want to be like Montgomery County and have no pay and or increase, as you see, Surrey is one of the higher ones. Well, it's not the highest one, I guess. Yeah, I guess it is.
Is there opportunity for direct deposit instead of?
Not at the moment, but county finance has said that they're looking into that for future options for vendors.
So I guess they have to pay you like a vendor and not as a employee. So like we get our checks as through direct deposit, but I guess anything that goes through like a vendor check or even like a reimbursement comes back in a form of check. But I mean, that is pretty antiquated, and there are fairly low tech commercially available systems available from like your banking institution that would allow you to send them a file and then they just send out electronic payments. But
and that possibly would be less money, but still there's going to be a cost with that, like we do direct deposit at my office, and I've kind of forgotten now how much it costs, but
I'm personally all for nothing. That's my opinion. I mean, the board can vote however they want, but I don't need compensated.
I don't think anyone would really do it, for the compensation. It's with the headache that Lillian puts us through.
Do that in freely.
Yeah.
Just kidding, it's actually a pleasure and honor to be here, and that's I agree with Jason on that part. It's something that we don't necessarily have to make a motion today for, since we would have time. Now, was that when you said that you said the commissioners would be the one to change?
Yes, and
that?
I
Okay.
will just say, as a member of the public at a commissioners meeting, and again, I apologize, my timeline is messed up on when you joined, but the commissioners set board rates for lots of different boards, and another group that they set the rate for is school boards. And I sat in a commissioners meeting that went on for about an hour and a half about school board compensation. And the request was to lower it, I think, for one, along the lines with yours. And the next thing I knew, they were upping it, and I was really confused about what happened. So if you go to the commissioners about this, it could go any way. It's their decision to make. So I think if you want to do something, this board would need to make a request to the Board of Commissioners to make a change. And then the commissioners would then get the opportunity to say, yeah, we agree. We want to make this change. Or, you know what? I've been thinking about this, and we asked these people to do this. $25 isn't enough. We want to do $50. And that could happen. So I just want to share that with you too, from personal experience where that occurred.
I agree with Jason too. I wouldn't bother me. I mean, I'm not being recruited by any neighboring county that pay it. No, I do miss the, what was that the caterer used to fix? It was like a chicken salad.
Chicken salad pie. Yeah, that was Don Trule's favorite as
Go
well.
for that. I was
Yeah,
third.
that was good.
Stopped catering, so you can't get the chicken salad pie. Yeah.
It was good.
So would any recommendation from this board be in form of a letter to the?
I
board
think what would
commissioners?
happen is we would ask on behalf, and I'm looking to these two gentlemen for an agenda item to,
Well, yeah, I think you would just, you'd have to have a board vote on it, and they might have to do budget amendment to wipe out that line item or whatever. I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal, but it would come up, probably would come, I don't know if it would come up on, it probably would just come up on an agenda at some point, but I mean, I think you'd want the board to vote on it.
Make a motion to take it to the
Right,
commissioners to put it on as an agenda.
right.
Again, we would be like our recommendation, but it's not like we're gonna say we want this or we want X amount, because that you said that's gonna be something that.
no, we could do it like that. The way when we prepare an agenda item, Corinne and I usually, typically they're budget amendments, but what we would do is we would say the Davidson County Board of Health recommends ending, if that's what y'all want to do, ending the compensation for board members. And the reason behind it would be board members discuss the cost of printing the check, the staff time, and the stamp, and just recognize that this was a burden on the taxpayers that was unnecessary. Recommendation would be to stop that. Now, again, once we give it to the commissioners, it can go any which way they didn't want it to. And I would think that if it goes to the commissioners too, another thing that may come up with the board, and I maybe shouldn't speak to this, but I feel like I'm pretty open and transparent with y'all. There are other boards that they also provide compensation to. So they might want to open and look at other boards, and that could be something else that was part of the discussion, but
Never know.
That does come up. I mean, there is, and I don't know if it comes up every year, but it does come up. It has come up at least once since I've been here, where they will have a discussion about compensation for all of the boards. And so it may be that they just wait until, it comes up in the context of all the boards. You know what I mean? When they're talking about everybody, at that point, they could wipe it out. So.
Well, is there a motion to move forward on that recommendation?
Yeah, I'll make a
A
motion.
second.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? And, yeah, we'll
So-
work on.
may I ask a clarifying question? Would you like us to prepare a request to let me go back to the motion. The motion is to request to the Board of Commissioners to stop the reimbursement for all Board of Health members effective immediately. I have to put that in the.
Yeah, I guess that's the case. It wouldn't matter probably because it may not be on their agenda for us.
Right, yeah, I mean, I guess as soon as they can get around to adopting it, but effective immediately.
Okay. And whatever that day would be. Okay, I just want to make sure that y'all weren't like, oh, well, William, we want to do that, but we didn't want it to happen until the end of the budget year or something like that. So I want to make sure, got that. We can request agenda items and it is the discretion of the manager when they go on the agenda. So the manager may take a look at this. And again, I'm just trying to, I don't see y'all very often. Well, you're right. Our interim manager.
Casey took off on it.
Yeah. Our interim manager may look at it and say, oh, I don't want to open this can of worms until I can look into all the boards that we fund so that the staff is prepared to answer questions that may come up from the board. And they would probably want to take it to the chairman. So I don't know when this will even get on there, but what we will do based on this is we will get the agenda item request into them and then we will go from there and hopefully have an update next meeting.
Perfect.
Well, thank y'all for that. So now we need a motion to go into, as you know, this agenda is a little bit different that we modified first off to closed session. I have second, all in favor.
Okay.
We're now in closed session.
Adam and
We've now returned from closed session, and I'm going to ask the county attorney to give a brief on why we did that.
Sure, the board had closed session for an update on an active legal matter. The attorney and the health director provided an update to the board on steps that are being taken regarding that legal matter. That's it.
Thank you. All right, any other business before we adjourn? I can get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. And a second. All in favor? Opposed?
thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Anything else? Very interesting.